and move my camera up a little bit. What do you think?
Oh, you know, Keisha has this good like there's a certain amount of headroom you need on, you know, I guess for a webinar, like a certain amount of headroom. So maybe you're a little too close. Are you saying you want to move it up or down? Because maybe you're not quite.
I'm hitting my head on the ceiling.
You're hitting your head on the ceiling, exactly. I think you're supposed to have
some
kind of like.
Here's my add-in. It's a little piece of gum. That's all I got. It's my shim.
Engineer.
How about that?
I think, I don't know, maybe it's the golden triangle, like what is it, like the, yes, looks good from a geometrical standpoint. Should have the same coffee cup each week too. I think we need coffee cups that say AugMentors on them. We need swag, basically, before we even do anything else.
Definitely need swag. I mean, beyond our intangible swag. We need real swag.
I think that's swagger. Okay. I made notes, and then I was debating whether or not to, like, should we share? I was feeling like last week, I don't think we shared notes before we started recording, which maybe was better.
Yes. I think it's great.
It comes across as more, you know.
I am ready to go all over the roadmap here. Or all over the road, I guess. I don't have a map. My evening with Dora, let's just say I only got yelled at twice for having Dora on too loud in the house. And it wasn't what I was expecting. You know, it was, yeah, vamonos. Let's do it.
Well, it's a bit of a 2-for-1, right? You learn a couple new Spanish words. And all right, so module 1.
Part 2. No. It's volume 1, part 1, module 2.
Volume 1, part 1, module 2. So, Jimmy, after our conversation last week, you know, thinking about our vision for mentoring, I know, you know, we've talked a lot about how Bob Ross was this awesome idea and vision for mentoring. And then I think we thought about the next thing was, once you kind of have your vision, like the question is, how do you get there? How do you get from point A to point B? And we were trying to think of people who have taken journeys, and you're identifying your mentor profile, like who do you need with you on your journey? So I had spent a good chunk of time, maybe about 2.5 years, watching a lot of Dora the Explorer. And I remembered that Dora just knew how to rock her map. So that's who I thought of for this. So the question is, this is really about identifying your mentor profile and setting your roadmap. What did you think? I know you maybe aren't as familiar with Dora as I am, so I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I don't have 2.5 years. I have 2.5 hours, half of it on a stationary bicycle. We clearly have to start off with, come on, vamonos, everybody, let's go. Coming, let's get to it. Together we can do it. Roadmap.
That's it. We could just end the episode right here.
Roadmap module, cut it. We're done. So I actually kind of got into it a little bit, and then I fell off a bit on our Dora the Explorer metaphor. I think the name is wonderful.
Okay. You're
definitely trying to trip up somebody from Boston with Dora the Explorer. not like, you know, my speech impediment's coming through big time here. So, and then we got into, you know, thanks Pirate Pig. The list was coming out. You know, there was a lot of strange things. But at the very least, I will say Dora has a motor. You know, Dora with her motor, she is always moving, and she's always thinking about the next thing, and she surrounds herself with really good people on her adventures. So it's just in general, you know, before we get to our 3 symbols of what it means to have a roadmap on this mentoring journey, I think Dora is a great, you know, spirit animal for us, because she exemplifies that positive energy, getting out there and surrounding yourself with good people. And that's kind of like the base. Once you have your vision, you really need to start, you know, coming back to what your foundation is. What do you think?
I totally agree. I mean, I forgot about all those great buddies that she had along the way. And I love how she, and it's funny too, you said the three, because of course, if you remember in the episodes, they always have the three spots that they stop at, and kind of, they have a very formulaic, every single episode kind of follows the same, somewhat the same, template. But I think that I felt like the thing that I really got from Dora was like the tribe. Like, she had all of her people. She has, you kind of go through each of them, and each of that they kind of bring along to her in her journey. So I would agree. Where did you fall off on it? Where did you feel like it was losing?
I mean, I probably fell off a little bit with the big red chicken. Like I have no idea what's going on with the big red chicken. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think it has a lot to do with mentoring. Yeah, there's some other, and you can't really tell if they're a friend or a foe. I did not even figure out that there were 3 stops along the way in each Dora episode. Maybe because I'm only using YouTube to look at Dora, so I could have been chopping it up differently. But I do like that we must be on the right path, because if they have 3 stops and we have 3 symbols for each of our outlines, key aspects you need to keep in mind, Dora did all right. So we're gonna put on our boots and follow her roadmap, which probably comes to knowing the target audience a little bit better, putting on my marketing hat. It's probably not necessarily for people in their 30s and 40s, but it may be good to go back into that mindset about why that's so catchy. And it's not necessarily because it's simple. It's funny, like her best friend, obviously I think our number 1 symbol is boots for your roadmap, and her best friend is named Boots. And I think, again, that comes back to this: where's your positive energy? Where's your tribe of really strong people that are going to kind of be your backbone as you go out looking for this mentor? Because you want to have positive influences in your life along the way. And Boots means you're going to be out there. You're going to be doing things, and you don't need a best friend by any means, because some of this, mentoring might be about friendship. It could be the evolution that this initial mentoring relationship goes, but you're going to need to get out there and continue to walk around, continue to see things, continue to bump into people, and bring that perspective and experience from all of your travels to this mentoring relationship, because that's going to be so important in the mentoring actual experience, sharing this experience, sharing where you've gone.
I think I love that. And I love, because I hadn't even thought of that with the boots and the, like, why was he named Boots? And I loved how, the chemistry between Boots and Dora really is
electric. Yeah, electric.
Unique. And I think that I love that she lets him help her too, because she's kind of the protagonist in this, right? She's the believer, like she's the mentee, and she is really open to having him along on the journey with her. And what I love about Boots is that he's sort of her trusted advisor, and he's her cheerleader, but you can also tell he is her number 1 fan, and he knows that if Dora gets where she's going, the world is going to be a better place. So he's like he's like championing her all the way through, and she knows that she can't do it alone. So she's got places to go. She's got to get to the piñata.
Gotta get to the piñata.
She's got to get to the piñata. And so, yeah, I love that. And I feel like Boots is like also just kind of enjoying the journey with her, and like they're having a good time while they're getting from point A to point B. And they're dealing with struggle, right? They're dealing with different things that they don't know is going to come on their way. There's a grumpy old troll who's under the bridge.
We'll come back to that guy.
Okay. So I think so Boots is really our first, for sure, and the relationship between them
is symbol number 1 for your roadmap, which means before you even lay out where you want to go with this mentoring relationship, you need to be ready to go somewhere. So you got to be in the right headspace. You're going to be putting on your shoes. You're going to be getting out there, already having experiences and perspective that you're going to share, and knowing that your experience and perspective meant something because you had the right tools on, you went out there, and you're living life. You know, you're in the arena. You really got to get out there, and that's where I think boots is just a very basic metaphor. Not necessarily your best friend. You don't need a best friend for a mentoring relationship, but you need to be out there, and that's where I think boots comes in.
Totally, and trusting others.
Yep, it's great. So also, Dora is a lot different than Bob Ross for our vision.
Understatement of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, just I went down a hole thinking, all right, what would Bob Ross say about Dora? What would he be painting? You know, if that was going to be his muse for an episode, where would he go? And I was like,
well, she's often in landscapes. I mean, she's often in, you know, I'm not entirely certain where she is, but she's, you know, she's going over hills. She's going through, you know, there are lakes. I don't think she quite says bubbling brooks, but I think he would find her energy a bit overwhelming. But I think he would appreciate the repetitive, like, again, kind of keep, just like Bob Ross keeps going back to his key points over and over again and keeping you on track. I think that is one thing about the Dora episodes, is that they keep repeating back and forth, like where they're going, where the stops are, how they're getting there. So I think they would have some similarities, but yet I would say their energy is probably quite a bit different.
So I know what one of our second symbols is going to be. I don't know what our third is.
Okay.
So I'm curious to you in your outline about this roadmap. If we're prepping to get started, is the roadmap? It's not actually where you're going, right? We're talking about this journey, because vision is kind of the destination. That's the flag at the end of the golf course, you know, to get to. Correct? You know, this is actually laying out how you're going to get there. Is that how you're? Okay. So if that's the case, the number 2 symbol, it's got to be the backpack. Yeah.
The backpack or the map?
I was going to say the backpack, but
all right.
I had more episodes with backpack by YouTube search algorithm.
They knew that you were a fan.
Yeah.
They were like, this guy really would like backpack.
well, so then yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's go with the map and then end with the backpack, which is probably better, because my other one that wasn't the map, I wasn't thrilled about. But don't worry, it'll be brought up.
Okay, good. I was like very curious.
It'll be brought up.
Well, I had thoughts about both map and backpack, so why don't we throw it out and then we can decide. So I felt that map, the thing I don't love about map is that he's a bit prescriptive. I don't know, maybe it's a he, kind of sound like a he, like the map, you know.
The map,
I mean, it gives you the map.
Mansplaining map.
It's kind of a mansplaining map. You know, it's a bit like it doesn't lend for, you know, more adventures that Dora could have along the way. However, again, target audience is 4-year-olds, so you want to keep things, you know, kind of simple, not as nuanced as a prescriptive map. But I do appreciate that he does give, you know, specifics on the places to go, and he does give her a true north, because at the end of the day, at the end of the episode, she has to get to the piñata, and so because there's a celebration and Tico's going to be there, and you can't let Tico down.
So I actually kind of love that, because a good map for what we're talking about, we've already have the vision. You know,
yeah.
So you kind of know where you're going. The map kind of lays out this world in front of you, but you need to have guardrails so that you're going to get somewhere. But just like there's a whole lot of ways to drive from Boston to Los Angeles, there's one way that's going to be faster than the rest. That might not be your way, but you probably don't want to take the way from Boston to Los Angeles, you know, through Ottawa and then back through, you know, Mexico City. That's probably not the route, but there might be something.
Are you criticizing my driving?
Just took a right turn and then a left turn. Here I am, Los Angeles. But I think there's something there to say, it doesn't have to be directly on this route. You know, if you feel like you're trying to find a mentor, or, you know, you're beginning this relationship, don't feel like, boom, I gotta just go straight and narrow, I'm headed this way. I mean, Dora the Explorer, the point of that is you're gonna find your own way through, but you probably don't want to go totally off the rails and get into very different you know, pastures. So kind of think about, right, what feels right, what makes sense as you are, you know, identifying this mentor profile for you. You know, like, get a little creative, but don't suddenly, you know, if you've never thought about, BMX riding, probably don't reach out to a BMX rider. That doesn't make sense to you. But if you do cycle and you road cycle, well, maybe a BMX cyclist could be the right fit for you.
And I appreciate that too, because there's stops on the map, right? The map gives you like the last, at the end of the day, you're getting to the pinata, but you don't, the map also points out that there could be stops along the way too, and make sure that you don't miss those experiences also. So you're right, actually, now that we talk about it, I feel like map maybe has a bit more flexibility than I gave him credit for when we started, because I felt like but you're right, he's kind of setting the vision at the end. The goal is the party with the pinata and Tico. But
Matt's
you might
already got the vision. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then the stops along the way too. And then I think what map also does is then gives a little bit of context on the journey, so that when you make those stops and you're heading towards your true north, towards your vision, you know that there are certain things that are probably going to happen in those 2 stops. So if map is kind of the mentor at the end of the day, helping you set the vision, map's also giving you some clues to things that you might encounter along the way. So for example, you're getting to the Pinata with Tico, but you might be on a big red hill before you get there. And then you might be on a, apple tree of some kind as well. So you don't know. And like the hashtag plot twist is that the big red hill is actually the big red chicken. So just some context of like things that you may encounter between the beginning of the journey and the end of the journey. And map is the one that kind of gives you that context.
That's a Dora metaphor right there. We're in it. We're in it.
So if I think about my own journey where I'm at right now, so the idea is like my, vision is whatever, growing a company to a certain size, and having a mentor who has grown a company from where I am at the, in the playhouse to the pinata. And if I know that there's the big red hill and then there's the apple tree, that was helpful for me, because then I have the context of those sort of, and they're not pitfalls. They're not bad things. They're just challenges you're going to have along the way.
Yeah, milestones and challenges along the way. And by no means should we be talking about your business starting coming out of the playhouse. Your business is kicking butt and fantastic on a whole different level than Dora. We're not going to go down.
I could only aspire to be like her. I mean, she believes in herself and she has places to go. So
exactly, get your boots ready, take out your map where you kind of have a lay of the land for what kind of mentor you might be looking for in this relationship. And something before we get to what our third symbol is going to be. I loved in episode 1, season 1 of Dora the Explorer. She had this. She had a way to immediately engage with all of her viewers, and she did that by asking questions. So literally, the first episode. This is so for any interaction you have, whether this person be developed into a mentoring relationship or whatever. Dora said, "Hi, I'm Dora," and then said, "What's your name?" And then said, "How old are you?" And repeated, "Wow, that's big." And boom, right along the way, you see Dora is doing active listening. She's complimenting. She's engaged. She's telling a little bit about herself and sharing, but doing more listening than sharing. I thought that was just a fantastic way of setting up, okay, before I get to specifics, I'm going to be practicing these pieces along the way. I got my boots on. I kind of know where I'm going. I'm interacting with people. I have energy. I have this great foundation and base, but I'm going to be an active listener. And when I do listen, I'm going to complement those things to try to learn more. If you immediately shut people down, you're not going to learn anything. If you just talk about yourself, you're not going to learn anything. Share a little, listen a lot.
And then her fans love her, right? And then I can remember a lot of little people in my life who just loved it. And then as soon as she stopped and said, what's your name, or what, they're like totally in it. And then they want to watch more and more because they're engaged in the conversation, which is challenging when it's actually a television show versus an actual conversation. So the fact that she could create that dynamic without even really even hearing what people were saying, but then the kids were so excited to be part of that, because we all want to talk about ourselves.
Totally. I mean, it's something you and I talk about all the time. We'll reach out to somebody new and we will say nothing on the entire call. And at the end of the call, someone will say, "Wow, this was so great talking to you. I've learned so much. Like, can we talk again soon?" And we're like, we talk again? No, this was you talking to me. And no, we probably won't talk again, but I'm glad you had a great time. But so it does show that there needs to be a little bit of sharing in the airways. But at the same time, if you want to ingratiate, it is active listening, and that's going to help you learn a lot and then continue to compliment. And I thought that was just, to me, that was kind of a big deal that Dora, at an early age, Dora had already kind of figured out this really key, relationship building technique that was so simple. And so it's really cool to then hear about, your daughters who already felt, invested in Dora, and Dora was a part of them because Dora shared a little, but also listened. And there were pauses. So literally Dora said, "What's your name?" And I could take a deep breath or two before Dora responded.
Did you actually do that, Jimmy? You don't have to tell me. It's okay.
Yeah, that's private. That's between Dora and I and our relationship. I didn't tell her how old I was. I didn't think it was appropriate.
So she just said, "That's big."
Yeah.
It's kind of the last thing you want to hear.
I haven't heard a number that high in a while. You really need something.
I cannot count that.
Oh, okay.
We're not the target audience.
No, but still learn something from it. So I think then, once we've already you got your boots on, you're out there, right? You've set your milestones, you kind of got your guardrails with your map of what kind of mentor you might be looking for in this mentoring relationship. Next, you got to have the backpack. I don't see how we don't have the backpack. That is, it's everything I need, I have inside. Yes. And that and to me, the backpack actually is, you got to keep learning along the way. So you can't ever fill up the backpack. And that's being always curious. So again, this is supposed to be kind of about identifying mentor profiles, but this is not a prescriptive, thought process ourselves. We're saying you might not know which mentor profile you're going to run into. I'm thinking about your woo-woo friend, to not be named. You might not have originally said, "Wow, this is somebody who initially I could be in a mentoring relationship with," and then later evolve into a deep friendship. That might have not initially, struck you as someone, but by, always being curious, filling up your backpack with new ideas, you were able to learn a whole lot, and suddenly like, wow, this is something really special. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, we are on the same page, because I wrote down backpack is all the tools that you keep with you, your skills up until this point in life, and you may have way more resources than you even know, because you and I both have had the situation where you have a bag and you throw a bunch of shit in it and then you leave it, and then later you open it and you're like, "Oh my God, I had no idea I had all this stuff in this bag. I totally forgot about it." At least that happens to me all the time. Maybe you're better about cleaning out your bags. But then you're like, "Oh my," so it's all, and it's almost like the things that you don't even know that you have until you need it, right? Like I'm trying to think of a skill that I didn't know I had until I needed it. I don't know. Let's see if I can think of something.
I mean, starting a business.
Working on org charts. So now I'm working on org charts, which is not a skill that I thought I had. And now I'm able to pull out my backpack and be like, okay, I'm a strategic thinker. I can understand people and I can understand what makes sense. So I hadn't thought that I had those skills in my backpack until I had to bring them out. So I think it's almost like the confidence in all the things that you have. And I think that the one thing that I think that always shines through in Dora is sort of this confidence and positivity and resourcefulness. You have all these things in your backpack and you can just pull them out, depending upon where you end up on your journey. If you're stopping at the Big Red Hill, or if you're stopping at the apple tree, there's things that you're going to need your backpack that you didn't even know that you had. God forbid, once you get to the pinata, it's a whole nother layer of things that are.
One layer of the pinata, and you can put some of the treats, the pinata, in the backpack. But so what I'm hearing is that the backpack, first you need to fill it by always being curious, because you can never learn too much or interact with too many people along this mentoring journey. If you have other goals, different things, but on the mentoring journey, if you're trying to find a wonderful person to be in a mentoring relationship with, you've got to be out there. You've got to fill up that backpack being curious, but then realize, and I love your point of, well, you already have a lot in there. Don't discount it, and that you are building tools and skills and confidence in certain activities just by going out there and being curious and interacting with others. And you're going to pull those skills out later, like creating organizational charts, all these things that you're going to do a new thing every day, period. And that backpack is what's there to help.
And this makes me think of what you always talk about related to active listening. So I think the more that you're able to really listen to others, the more it's almost like these nuggets of information are what go in your backpack. So if you're busy talking about yourself, thinking about the next thing you're going to say, thinking about what you're going to, have for lunch, and you're not actually part of, or you're multitasking, whatever, you're missing those little nuggets, which are actually all the things that go into your backpack and those pieces of knowledge that you can pull out. So again, in a plug for active listening and putting all those different things in your backpack. And I think I love how she kind of stops and is like, okay, what do I need? And that backpack like opens up and is like, here's your 5 different things that you could use for it. So I think just remembering to take that moment to kind of stop and think about like, okay, what do I actually need in this moment? What do I have? And then if there's things that you don't need, because you don't always have everything that you need, then who else, is it Issa? Is it, is it the little bugs whose names I don't remember? Maybe they have the things as well. And then you grab who you need.
So, yeah.
But I think the elephant in the room though is Swiper.
Oh, no. Swiper, no swiping. Yeah, we're not getting away from Swiper, especially because,
okay,
as you know, one of my new businesses is developing a brand around a fox. So that hit a little close to home. That was a problem. So coming back to like the identifying the mentor profile and like how you're really going to get there and begin, thinking about, we did the Venn diagram in module 1 of really understanding, hey, you need to have a professional overlap and then like a personal hobby passion overlap. And that already creates, I think, a very large focus. So these tools that we're talking about now in this roadmap, thinking about Dora the Explorer, it's really more going out there and interacting with people. It's being slightly critical in your planning, but it is not requiring you to do certain tactics. This is not a tactics module. This is a thought process. This is get your boots on, get out there, understand what's around you with your map, and then know that you need to fill up your backpack with active listening and that you have all these tools based upon all your experiences and perspectives before. So I really like how this is not you're going to do this is how you're going to identify someone that could be in a mentoring relationship with you and no, that's not it. Because if you come to it with that perspective, you're going to scare off that person who may want to enter that mentoring relationship with you. But if you do all these things we're talking about, it can really grow into something special.
I love it.
Cool.
So there's a couple people we haven't talked about yet.
You mean is that just a cactus? Hey Dora, that's a funny looking cactus. I don't think that's just a cactus. What's inside that cactus? Swiper the fox. And so
I never really thought Swiper was very threatening though. I think I mean he's a pretty lame villain.
Yeah, well, the only picture I can have in my head is Swiper as a banana running up a hill. That was the one I actually looked at, and I was like, why is that? Why was that not immediately strange, even to a 5-year-old? I don't know, but I thought it was. It's a nice kind of reminder of like always have your eyes and ears open. But like, I actually kind of took it as when it said Swiper no swiping, click on Swiper, so Swiper no swiping. And to me, then it goes back to you need to be active. You got to be out there engaging, filling up your backpack. You got to have your boots on. You can't be crushing social media just swiping. Like that's not going to work.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that was foreshadowing.
You need to already have that vision in place and then be working on these, tools of getting out there and listening to people. So you cannot be aimless. You can't just be swiping things without a plan.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really important. So Swiper, no swiping.
Wow, I definitely did not make that connection because obviously, like when I think the first Dora episode was 2002, maybe, or 2003, something like that. And right, there was not the swiping was not
2000.
Was it 2000? Okay.
Yeah, predates Facebook.
Wow. So they were thinking ahead, the swiper no swiping, and right, it's like sort of being just passive and not being active. I thought swiper to me, so I have a less, that was really good, what you had, but I had, it's kind of like all the distractions that get us in the way of our journey. It's kind of like these annoying things that show up and that kind of try to, I think what swiper is just trying to do is try to get them to throw them off. He's not actively like trying to, destroy them or sabotage them. He's just trying to get what he wants and try to, kind of just distract them. So I love how they like acknowledge it. They're like, we see you, banana running up a hill, fox person. Like, we're like, we got you. We see you. And we're also like, and they have such positivity about it. They're like, all right, well, thanks for that info, swiper. Like, we're moving on.
Yep. And what was kind of great is you said they acknowledge it. It's really like, yeah, I know you just want attention, swiper. That is social media. That is these distractions. They just want attention. They really,
Yes.
they don't want anything from you but just attention. So if you can think of swiper, no swiping, move on. Think about how you can go back to being an active listener, getting out there, knowing your guardrails.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a good way to tie things together, because I think in a way, like Dora and Swiper are friends, but
yeah,
you need to know how to manage that. Everyone's got that friend. You're like, okay, yeah, I'll call you next week, man. It's okay. It's cool.
It's a drama. It's like the drama or the gossip or the whatever. It's like, yes, I could name names. Swiper is just a lot of drama, basically.
Name names, yes.
No,
cut it.
No. Swiper is, it's like the drama trying to pull you in, get you off track. And you just have to kind of acknowledge it. So, but I like that, especially related to social media. And so there's also the grumpy old troll, who I have strong feelings about.
So you please go first, because I don't know if I'm going.
Yes. So the grumpy old troll, he's kind of a hater. And I mean, he can be persuaded to be helpful, but he's a reminder of why a negative mindset is not helpful. Like he's just grumpy and he's just, everything's bad. But like you can kind of talk him into helping you along the way. But he's sort of, I think, especially if you're basically listening to this segment at this point, you are actively on a journey to improve yourself, and you're actively on a journey to change, to be moving in a direction that's super positive. And there are going to be people in your life who don't want that for you and who don't share that same mindset. And they kind of are like the grumpy old trolls, and they're sort of, they live under the bridge. And just try to get them, keep your positive mindset, take what you can from them, but, let them go and just keep going along on your journey.
Hustle hard, stack paper. You see me, I hater. Totally. I mean, and it's kind of funny when you talk about, what the grumpy old troll represents is kind of this negative person who can actually help you. When I pulled up Dora on like the big screen, my phone, and the grumpy old troll looked almost kind of chill, like almost like the quintessential approachable old mentor. Like he is Clint Eastwood, in like movies of the last 30 years, not like in like the 70s. Like he could almost become a guide down the road. He's that classical mentor that we're kind of talking about not being anymore, which is so funny. But like the troll's just there, as you said, throwing out all the obstacles that are going to be coming. Well, that you already got your tools to beat these things if you have this positive mindset. And of course, riddle me this: who is the smallest creature of all time? That grumpy old troll with lame ass rhymes. I mean, like, he is not imposing. Like, give me some real challenges here. He's like, oh yeah, it's grumpy old troll. Like, let's go have a beer with the grumpy old troll. Sounds like a good time.
So you're saying he's not as much of a hater as I'm putting him out to be? I guess it depends episode by episode.
I'm sure.
He can have bad days like the rest of us.
It happens. You're under a bridge. It's a rainy day. It's not going to be as much fun.
And it's all these characters, right? And I know there's like Tico, and then there's Issa. There's like a bunch of little other people, other supporters. Well, and then there's the big red chicken. So I think the thing that's great about the big red.
Yeah, I can't even. Yeah, with a wife with red hair, I can't utter that name. Gets me in trouble.
So I guess we can just put the Big Red Chicken under the whole like supporting cast of other characters that are, helpful. The Big Red Chicken's helpful because Big Red Chicken's super big and can help them see far in a way. So like that's helpful. And then, the little musician bugs are, they bring joy to the fiesta. So I think it's kind of keeping in mind, so how that relates back to this is keeping in mind kind of those other people that you can pull in, like what are their strengths? How can they support you? They might not be your boots. They're definitely not your boots. They're not even your map or your backpack. They're 3 key points, but making sure that like you keep kind of your tribe of folks to help you along your way.
Before you get going on the roadmap, totally.
Yeah.
My note for this character was just Big Red Chicken, period. What? Question. That's all I got. It was too weird. It was too weird.
Yeah. I mean, and Benny the Bull too. I don't know if you had any thoughts on Benny the Bull. The same. They're like this whole group of.
I mean, Benny the Bull is the Chicago Bulls, NBA mascot. All I can think about is basketball for him. So I just assumed, they paid a lot of money for the rights because he's awesome.
Could be. I don't know.
Made me think Michael Jordan was an investor. As a Chicagoan, I assume you thought the same thing. But what we're talking about, all these other characters, you laid this out in the beginning. It is like these are the people who are along the way to help you achieve your goals. This goal right now is finding this like really key mentoring relationship. So you're gonna have supporters, advocates, advice givers, cheerleaders. You name it. And that's all in this foundation. And again, Dora's World was a great way to think about it.
So my last very favorite thing about Dora, and I think it's a really important point that we make here at the end, is that I love the big party at the end of every episode. And they say, I mean, I could sing the We Did It song, but like we did it and we did it, yay. So the fact that they really take a moment at the end of the episode to acknowledge that they made it to their destination, they recap all the situations that they went through. They talk about their stops along the way. They talk about the challenges that they had, and they really like joyfully celebrate getting to the end. And I think that's something I know that I struggle with. I'm probably not alone. It's very easy to get to the end of your journey and then you're like, okay, well, what's next? Versus having a moment with your friends to celebrate with your piñata and everybody. So that I got, when I think of things that I personally feel like I can take away from this time we spent with Dora, is the idea of celebrating big wins at the end.
I'm enjoying the journey right now. I'm not looking forward to the peak. I like what we're doing. But I do have to caution though, there's a lot of dancing required at Dora's birthday. Maybe, and not, I don't mind the counting, but that's a lot of dancing. To me, dancing is optional, and that really gets the party started. When you're like, get out there, people are like, but
they only do like really one move. Like it's kind of like one move, like everybody does like a little bit of the same thing. But yeah, I hear it.
Like a half Thriller Michael Jackson plus a dab.
No, I'm picturing Dora like with her little doing her little thing. I'll send you the clip of the dancing Dora at the end, the little celebration.
I will be an active listener on that clip. Fill up my backpack.
Do you have any final thoughts about Dora or about this?
I want to hear the song. What's the party song?
The piñata song?
Yeah.
I have to find it though. Should I find it?
I mean, how do we not end this without
with the piñata song? Okay.
Yeah.
I was watching it actually last night in a taxi, coming home from Manhattan at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm sure the guy who is driving me was like, "What is she listening to?"
That is so funny. I also love, like, I'm clearly using Wikipedia as a key resource. Like the fourth sentence is, common rituals may involve Dora encounters with Swiper, a bipedal, anthropomorphic, mask-heaving fox whose theft of the possessions of others must be prevented through fourth wall breaking interaction with the viewer. Like, whoa, like, is this a kids' TV show? This is
oh my God. Okay, wait, let me go back. Because I have on Amazon Prime, you can watch the first 2 seasons. I don't know if you have that. All right, because I was watching The Happy Old Troll, which was the one with the piñata. I feel like it was this one because they're trying to make him happy. I watched a whole bunch of, oh my God. I have to be honest with you, this kind of made me a little sad watching this much Dora.
Nostalgia?
Like in a good way. What's that?
Nostalgia?
Yeah, just like, oh my gosh. Yes. All right, can you see this?
Yeah, that Trolls was not that grumpy. Oh, that's Benny the Bull. I thought that was a rhino. I can't
No,
hear.
that was not that hard. I mean, look, see, that's the move. That's what I was doing.
Yes, she's doing a thriller double dab. Wow,
Oh my God.
Whoa.
A lot of dancing.
That's a lot. So I do think we should I do think we should wrap it up and have like our and like maybe that's something that Erica can throw in about actually having a little piñata song at the end to, I think, I don't know, it's like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. It means you can't get sued, something like that.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, there's always something that I don't know what the rules are, but we'll figure it out. I think we've actually done a pretty good job to lay out what we wanted here in our figure it out process. I love how we're gonna like just put up the deep cuts, as like a, here's the raw before it gets cut down for people down the road, and they can just be like, man, what a bunch of jokers. But hey, got it. We didn't know we had the skills in our backpack. Just had to take it out along.
This is the definition of this. This is exactly, and it's so funny because on all of these, I'm like, on the team call next week, I'm gonna be like, you guys, we totally have the backpack. Be like, so weird. This is what I've been doing on my weekends. I've been having these deep thoughts, but it's all true. I mean, it really is. There were a lot of good metaphors. I think Dora ended up being a pretty good. It was rich with the cast of characters.
Totally. I still think you nailed it by choosing Dora the Explorer as that is our spirit animal for the roadmap. Like, just it's got to be it. It's perfect because our 3 symbols I think are so perfect about this roadmap phase on to find this mentoring relationship. It is not about tactics. It is really about a state of mind and how you prime yourself to then go out and find the relationship. And that comes with always having your boots on, because you got to get out there, you got to be experiencing, you got to be in the arena. You have your map that is gonna give you some guardrails. You can't go fully all over the place. So think about kind of like we're gonna stay within this lane. Again, we're not going to suddenly reach out to Olympic divers if you've never went swimming. It's probably not the place to go in the beginning. And then lastly, we have the backpack. So you don't realize all the skills you already have along the way because you've already been out there, you've had your boots on, and you need to keep being an active listener and filling up your backpack with new experiences.
And tools, exactly. And tools and just keep learning and growing, because it's going to be something that you're going to be able to pull out somewhere along the way. Could be anywhere.
You never know when you're going to need it.
You never, ever know when you're going to need it.
There's definitely chapstick at the bottom of that backpack.
Terrifying. Totally terrifying. Great. Yeah. I think we got it.
I'm sure there's 8 minutes in here.
I think there's more than 8 minutes in here. That was great.
Yeah, you're great. I really am enjoying, at least the mindset for me about like get some quotes, get my kind of reaction to things, try to help get the symbols, like a bunch of symbols ready.
Yes.
And that you can help, you can help me the match.
Just riff.
Yeah, like whoops, come on back. So and your outline here, I think is really on point. I actually have it pulled up. I have my notes and I have your outline. And those
Good.
I'm looking at.
Well, this morning, because I was like, of course, and I'm like, wait, what are we doing? And then it's like, oh, right, back to this. And then, so what do we have next? What's next week?
Yeah, next week we need to figure out what we're doing for actually identify individuals, the guy.